Hello there, ladies, gentlemen and unicorns. Welcome to another Sunday stream, and it makes me so happy to see you all interact with my little pre-stream quiz that I coded up a couple of days ago, or the last week actually. By the way, let me start the music to make it a little bit more cozy and comfortable. Yes, hello everyone. It was a bit stressful for me to make the time today, but here I am, and look at this, even got my mug with my little ponies, with my little horses, full of wonderful coffee. So yes, even 10 viewers at this time of day. Wow, thank you so much. And also I've noticed in the chat that VRG Lab and we were going live at the same time. So VRG Lab, apparently a great minds stream alike, and I wish you a great stream then. And also Franks, thank you so much for subscribing at tier 1. You've been a 7 month on a 7-month streak, so I raise my cup or mug. It's actually quite a big mug in your honor. Thank you so much. You should cut your floats, dude. I have no idea what this means. My floats. Are we talking about sea time? Aviation, it's not called aviation, maritime transportation. And yes, Huskiness is there, and Virtual Man 52 was also called out by the Automated Unicorn, which is always happy to say hello to everyone who joins. Right, so how was your week? How was your week? Mine was a bit stressful. I guess is always stressful, but then again, it's always nice to come home to a chill and relaxing stream, doing some game dev and mostly chatting. Apparently, spring has begun, but when I look outside, I can see snowflakes falling. So yeah, spring is apparently still taking its time here, but it's cool with me, because at this point I have lost hope that we will ever have warm weather again. Late, Phil, says VRG Lab. Yeah, later. Thank you so much for dropping by during your stream at my stream. This is really much appreciated. It's more about floating point numbers. Oh, right. Yes. I mean, good old floating point numbers with the high score. You probably noticed that this is, I think, a common experience with game devs, or has become even an in-joke, the floating point rounding errors, because I'm I'm 100% comma 0.00000134561% certain that I got my floating point numbers sorted out, and I didn't round all of them. I mean, I rounded some numbers, but apparently there is a bug in my rounding routine for that. So yeah, because my I think would say naive way of rounding numbers in in JavaScript, as I'm doing now, is I multiply it by 100. This is to round to 2 decimal places. I multiply them by 100, then round it to the nearest integer, and then divide them by 100 again. And this is how I round. I'm not supposed that this is the correct way of doing it, but I don't know any other way. And apparently there's a bug in there because we're all programmers and we're all just human. This makes me sad. I wish I were a robot, but then I wouldn't have any feelings, and this would also make me very sad. So yeah. Picalic says, I took a rest at Black Sea with my wife. All was magic. Wow. Sounds like a vacation almost. My God, I'm so jealous. I hope you had a great time then. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a vacation sometime. But yeah, with the whole COVID situation and so on, I think the most vacation that I get is just getting my wife into a car, then we drive. Maybe we are lucky and find an unused bench close to a lake, and then we just watch and have some coffee and cake or something. So this is at this point, my very low expectations in regards to vacation, but can only get better, right? Need to rewrite in COBOL to get that fixed point properly, says Cursibu. Yes. Good old COBOL. I mean, COBOL, Fortran, Lisp, those are things that I always associate with. You really have to know what you're doing because otherwise you wouldn't figure it out on yourself, I would assume. And then of course there are the languages like Basic, where you essentially can't get any kind of you can't make things too wrong or too bad for yourself unless you start peeking and poking with Basic. But then again, you also don't get any performance out of it. So I don't know. I had a point that I was going. Anyway, yeah, I love me my programming language. I've recently looked at Haskell and I find it super interesting, but utterly unusable in terms for game dev or what I'm used to. But again, it's always nice to see new languages and how they do stuff, because as you've seen there with the pre-stream quiz and the interaction between the chat and then also sending data back to this other website for the high score, yeah, this was quite something. It took me many hours to get this done, but with WebSockets and everything, I managed to fail my way to success. So here we are. And the automated unicorn is again looking for Half-Life 3 to be released, because don't we all? I think at this point there will never be a Half-Life 3. And you know what? That's good, because then we can always say Half-Life 1 and 2 were the best ones. And the episodes. I mean, before Half-Life 3 drops, we still need Half-Life 2 Episode 3 that we were promised. Gabe Newell, looking at you. Yes, I know he's watching. Yes, what is the plan for today, apart from just rambling? Well, for one thing, it's coffee, because it's always nice to have a damn fine cup of coffee. And for the other part, there's still this prototype of my little puzzle game that's Minesweeper inspired, but played on a hexagon grid, and you don't only have mines or bombs to avoid, but also treasure to collect. Picalic says, have I heard it correct? Haskell is a Phil's favorite prog language. I wouldn't go that far, I just find it interesting, but I have no idea what to do with it personally. So it's a bit like what was that language called that only had true or false? Prolog. I've once seen someone force Prolog into doing multiplication and powers of numbers, and I thought, that's cool, but there are better ways to do this, right? What about Alex? Can it be considered Half-Life 3 and... or question mark? Yeah, I think Half-Life Alex, yeah. I think this is the closest we ever get to Half-Life 3, and you know what? That's cool. It's a good, in my opinion, it's a good decision that they didn't call it Half-Life 3, because with all the expectations surrounding a Half-Life 3, you will never ever get close to it, no matter what you drop and call Half-Life 3. So I think Half-Life Alex, I haven't played it, I have to say, because I have no VR headset, because I don't have the room for it. So yeah, there goes VR playing with me. But I mean, you could play it on the Oculus sitting down or something, but I mean, it was never intended to be played sitting down. So yeah, I will probably play it sometime in the future. But from what I've heard, it's an amazing game, and they pull all the stops when it comes to cool VR trickery. So I think... yeah, excuse me. So I think Alex, let's all consider that Alex is probably the best Half-Life game so far. I've played the first Half-Life. Half-Life. What's that? It's a new cocktail. It's half lime, and the other half is something radioactive, probably. So yeah, Half-Life. I've played the first Half-Life, and I just wanted to record some footage of a middle part in the middle for a possible video, but then I realized no, I was remembering it incorrectly. This was a totally different game. But Half-Life 1 is so much fun that I played it through all the way again. And this time now I've recorded everything. Yeah, thank you very much, phone, because I was just about getting to the part of Zen, the alien landscape, the final part of the game with a boss that's, I don't know, that is quite a bad end boss. But the game up until that point, my god, it really holds up in some sense. So for Half-Life 1, I still would recommend it today if you get used to the graphics, which you do after a couple of minutes, hours probably nowadays. But if it weren't for all the weird jumping puzzles, which don't work too well in 3D, who would have thought? It's still an amazing game. Pigalik says, in Scala you can invent any operator you imagine with your custom semantics. They even have but operator, okay, which looks like this, underscore star asterisk underscore. I've never heard of Scala, but my god, inventing your own operators. This sounds like something it's a can of worms that I'm probably not want to open. And it's a JVM based object oriented language. I have no idea what this means. JVM, Java Virtual Machine? Probably, but hey, this is cool. Never heard of Scala. I'm quite interested in the project that John Blow is working on has been working on for 3 or 4 years now, because he was so annoyed with modern C++. It's called Jai or something. He doesn't have a name for it, but a compiler. And I think this is probably the best professional language for game development that's out there, that's still to come. I don't understand much of it because I'm not a CS type person. I picked up programming just as I picked up playing guitar, so yeah, there was no formal education. But from what I understand is his compiler is a couple of thousand lines, and it is really geared towards game dev, towards stuff that you need to do in game dev, and it's close to C++ with it not being garbage collected, because John says if you know what you're doing, you can do things much better than always trying to outwit the garbage collector. And I can totally get behind this, despite probably not ever being able to program in this language. But yeah, if you're into programming and haven't heard of it, check out John Blow's current language that he's working on, because it's super performant. It compiles like, I think, at incredible speeds on his subpar laptop, I think. So yeah, check this out. And yes, JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. Thank you. Good. So I'm not outing myself as a complete idiot when it comes to abbreviations. I mean, it could always also stand for Jam Virtual Meetings. Oh, this is pretty much every Zoom meeting. It's just in a jam. And Ingvar played Half-Life 1 for the first time 2 years ago. Enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, once you get into it, into some of the clunkiness in terms of jumping. Mostly it's just jumping, because there are a lot of puzzles that involve jumping. And by the way, puzzles, yes, there are some things. I recall this garbage collection thing. No, it's not garbage collection, it's garbage processing in the game, where I was a bit stumped on where to go. But the good thing about Half-Life 1 was that I managed to figure out where to go, or what I needed to do, or which switch I had to flick sooner or later without having to resort to a walkthrough. And I think this is why also I was able to finish the game back then. Because nowadays sometimes it feels to me that many games, especially the indie roguelikes such as Binding of Isaac or even Minecraft, are played nowadays mostly with, you play it on one screen and have the wiki open on the other screen, and maybe even some YouTube tutorials. So it's not so much that you're inside the game figuring out, or the game being able to play the game telling you what to do. But it's more or less a community experience, which is also fine. It just depends on what kind of experience you're looking for. And I always said, for myself, I enjoy games much more when I don't have to alt-tab out of them to look something up, and just enjoy the game for what it offers me, and also for what I can learn from playing the game, so that it doesn't require much external knowledge. So yeah, this was again my philosophical take on this. Jai is a high-level programming language developed by Jonathan Blow, says Pickalick90, creator of indie games Braid and most recently The Witness. Did you just copy and paste this from Wikipedia? But yeah, this is the perfect summary of who John Blow is and what Jai is. And Sharks Interactive is also there. Hey Phil, how's it going? Thank you. I'm doing this well. Still got some coffee there, so I hope you're doing well as well. Right, yeah, in terms with programming, like I said, I have a newfound fondness for JavaScript, because the first I've learned of JavaScript was in good old pre-Web 2.0 days where it said, yeah, this is how you could make a password form, and you would have it in your HTML4 file, and the password would there be just in plain text. Something, yeah, this was from one of the very early HTML books that I had. Or this is how you can make a fun timer. And I thought at this point, yeah, this is just gimmicky and nobody will ever need this or use this. Yeah, and then I started doing Twitch and looking into the Twitch bot, and now this pre-stream quiz and doing CSS animations and transitions and so on. So it's quite powerful. It reminds me of the good old days of when you switch on a Commodore 64 and you're in a couple of seconds you're there at the basic prompt, and the computer actually is inviting you to just type input, print, go to 10 and eternal loop. So essentially what I found so fun about JavaScript is you just write something, drop it into a web browser, and it executes. It doesn't have to be a website. You can do pretty much anything with it thanks to HTML5. And yeah, like I said, I found this newfound appreciation so that you can concoct even more elaborate things on top of each other. And I've never even considered myself to ever have a Node.js thing interact with a website that's also monitoring the Twitch via IRC. It's weird. I never thought I'd be able to do this, but the cool thing is that it's possible that even people like I can do this little pre-stream quiz. And yeah, so again, I'm having lots of fun with it. I don't know that I would use it for classic 3D or even 2D game dev, but I mean for this kind of internet tomfoolery, it's super fun. It's super fun. And oh yeah, Sharks Interactive just chatted. I've recently been doing some web dev of late as well. CSS can be frustrating at times. Well, join the club, but you know what? I found out what is super nice: flex layouts. It took them 20 years to come up with flex layouts, but thankfully those are pretty sweet. Also, I'm worried that your unicorn herding license may be out of date. I'm sure hope it's renewed, or else I may have to report you. Well, I'm a licensed unicorn herder. I've still got the license somewhere. I mean, surely I do. So cheers for saying yeah, this is the drinking game that I completely forget about every time I mention it. Whenever I say unicorn, let's all have a sip of water because it's fun and healthy to stay hydrated. Ah, isn't that fun? Yeah, Flexbox, yes. I think everyone has this Flexbox cheat sheet, this website open, and this saved me so much. As some of you know, with CSS there's this running joke of CSS is awesome in a box, and text awesome just flows over the box, because with CSS you're never quite sure. How I learned it, how to force a layout, was make everything with tables. With tables you're safe. Then you start messing with CSS with tables, and there goes your beautiful structure there. So yeah, nowadays I'm doing pretty much everything with just divs, and CSS is doing all the heavy lifting. And to me, what I found the most useful, because I'm a notorious polisher, is doing CSS animations and transitions, like this 3D flip over effect in my pre-stream quiz. I was so amazed that I could do this with CSS, but it was super simple. So yeah, this is why this is probably going to stay. Important, the devil word, yes, with CSS. Truth be told, I think I have 3 or 4 importance in my template for the pre-stream quiz, because you probably could. I mean, the exclamation point important keyword in CSS is probably as the go-to keyword in BASIC. Usually it's a telltale sign of bad code, but I say, and you can hold me to this, I say if you know what you're doing, it's kind of okay to use it. If you know what you're doing. Right, yeah, the plan for today was again to continue with my Hex game, with the Minesweeper game, and do some chatting in between. So I think I can switch over the stream information from chatting to science and technology, because now I'm going to start up Game Maker. Well, it's already started up. Let me switch over. Hi, it's me in small. And there's Game Maker. Or there, I have to... There. There's Game Maker. So, right, for those who aren't in the loop, or even those who are, I just show you my little prototype that I have currently of the game, of the puzzle game that I'm prototyping. Again, this is very much programmer art. I'm so glad that I found the restraint in myself to keep myself from polishing it. So this is why it looks like ass, but at least it should be legible. So in general, it's super straightforward. I think it is, but then again, you always know that things that are super straightforward in your games are not for anyone else. So essentially, yeah, this is my game called Hexatile Game. Working title, pre-alpha, beta, gamma, sigma, omega. Yeah, essentially it works like Minesweeper. So you got two different sets of tiles. The gray ones are the currently occluded, the hidden tiles, which I call resources because they have resources, and the blues are clues. So every blue tile is a clue. And when can I zoom in? Of course, I need to launch Glassbrick, and Glassbrick is already running, but it's ignoring my shortcuts again. Let me try Glassbrick again because I want to zoom in, but apparently it doesn't want me. One last try. Oh, okay, now it works. So yeah, with each blue clue, there you can see there are two numbers. The blue one are the bad ones. Those are the bombs among its neighbors, and the orange one that you want are the treasure. So of course you want to avoid the bomb and want to collect the treasure. You need a certain amount of treasure, because with each treasure you get a random amount of gold, and there are 35 treasures hidden in this board, and you need 200 gold to advance to the next level. This black bar here just counts up your gold. So for example, the neighbors, among those two neighbors of this clue here, there is one treasure. So is it here? No, but it is here, and now you can see I got some gold, a gold 31. I also got HP, health points, which are of course pretty straightforward. I can lose a health point when I step on a bomb. But what is a bit different than Minesweeper with this game is that I can place clues myself whenever or wherever I want them. You can see here, yeah, just hit space to reset the level. I start a level here with 5 clues, which means that I can place clues with a middle click just anywhere where I want them. And so thusly, I pretty much am guaranteed to place or to can place them on top of treasure, or can place them on top of bombs. Of course, I don't want to place clues on top of treasure because I need treasure to advance to the next level. Or this is the cool thing, I could also exchange 30 gold for a clue, which I should have done here, because otherwise it's just a step in the darkness whether I hit a treasure or a bomb. And this is why I introduced the health points, otherwise you could just go around clicking randomly and yeah, now it's game over. So this is, again, the current prototype of the game that I have. And right now I'm trying to find where the fun is in that, if there is fun in that, and yeah, just trying and playing with the numbers and see, okay, this could be fun, or is different kinds of sets, of tile sets, of boards, playing boards would be fun, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to figure out with this prototype. And the plan is, once I've come upon something that is really fun and really engaging to play, then I start and rebuild this entire thing properly with Unity. At least that's the plan. And Tutvari is here. Thank you so much for dropping by. And he says, starts to looking good. Yeah, it's not looking good, but at least I hope the mechanics are something, because with my games, mostly they look good, but in terms of gameplay or mechanics, they're super bare bones. So yeah, this is why I thought I make something that's a bit more interesting. Okay, so let's just play this level and see where are the shortcomings are and so on. So yeah, let me start here. 3 treasures in its surrounding neighbors, so 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, there is another rule, and that is at the end of a game you can also flag certain tiles where you know, okay, I'm pretty sure there is a bomb, I know there is a bomb, and if you flagged it correctly, and at the end of the level, yeah, the end of the level, sure, I'm sorry, you finish a level by uncovering all the treasure. This is how you finish a level. But also you can also flag certain tiles as you're pretty sure, or you are certain there is a bomb underneath there. So essentially it's the opposite of, or not the opposite, it's quite the same as finding the treasure. It's through the means of deduction, you figure out where there are bombs and where there is treasure. For example, now I know that those two must be bombs, so I flag them as bombs, and now I can't accidentally click them. The good thing about this is the game rewards you for correctly flagged bomb tiles, and the game also rewards you for tiles that you didn't open. So because again you can exchange gold, but you need a certain threshold of gold to advance to the next level, at least in this iteration. So because otherwise you can just spend all your gold on the clues and then plaster everything just with clues when you're not quite sure where to go with this. So yeah, this is probably some balancing that I need to be doing on when it is engaging, when it's impossible, and when it's too easy, essentially. So I have to figure this out. Yeah, and like I said, also tiles that you didn't open also award you gold and points, essentially, because again the reasoning for this is that the more skilled you grow as a player with this game, I think first when you play it you only want to uncover the treasure and avoid the bombs. But then of course when you grow familiar with the mechanics, and then you start not just min-maxing, yeah, but you think, yeah, I pretty much have a good idea on where to place things, that I know where a bomb is or where a treasure is. So I might as well just tell the game that I know, I'm very certain that here and here is a bomb. And if it's correct, the game also rewards me. So that again, with rewarding the player for keeping tiles that they don't have to click hidden, yeah, again, I just want to reward them for being clever. That's pretty much it. So, and as you've seen, the other thing is that in yellow it's always highlighted when I'm hovering over a clue. It highlights all its neighboring tiles, because I think this is generous to the player, so that you don't always have to figure out, okay, what are the tiles of this clue now? And the other thing is of a certain when I hover over another tile of a resource tile, all the clues that refer to this certain space to this tile also light up in yellow. Okay, so there is, let's do some deduction. So there are 2 tiles, 2 bombs or 2 treasure among those. And there is 3 treasure and 1 bomb. So I think, I'm pretty sure that this is a bomb and this must be the treasure, and I was wrong. This was the bomb. But now I know that this is the treasure and those 2 must be the bombs, and same here. So needs to buy some clues. The thing is, why I'm currently having you to click to exchange gold for clues is I could do this automatically, but then I thought that especially when you're new to this game and you just learn that, okay, middle click is placing a clue, but you're not really aware that you're spending your gold on those clues. So I want to make it very explicit that you have to exchange willingly or knowingly, that you have to click, yes, I want to exchange 50 gold for 1 clue, that you know what you're doing. Okay, so I would assume that this is not a bomb and this is treasure and this is a bomb. I'm doing horrible there in my own game. So those 1, 2, 3 are all bombs, and need some more clues. Well, just more clues. Okay, so 2 treasure here. This is good. There was just blind luck. So 1 bomb and 3 treasure. Do I want to risk it? Let's buy some more. Okay, 1 bomb, so this must be treasure. And so either one of those is a treasure and the other is a bomb. So I can place a clue on top of it. If it's a bomb, it's good. And this was the bomb and there is treasure. Good. So once I finish the level, you will see that there's this algorithm going in tiles or in rows over all the tiles, and then we'll put a tick box or tick mark if I guessed that there is a bomb correctly, or an X if it is not, and if it is not, I lose some gold. I have to pay a penalty. Okay, I still got 1 HP left. So yeah, this must I've probably forgot there must be one treasure. I think here there is one treasure and one bomb. So this must be the bomb that's hidden, and this must be the treasure then. And yeah, now the level is complete and I get some points there, and HP level clear, have 0 HP, because 0 HP, I've had it that you would get some new HP, that your HP would carry over to the next level, which is something that I decided not to do. So yeah, now you can see it's pretty simple. So now I played the game, still have 1 HP left because I wasn't doing very well, and I got 661 gold, and I need 200 gold for the next level. Why do I cap that you have to have a certain amount of gold for the next level? That is that I can tell as a game designer that I'm quite sure, because your gold carries over. Essentially it's your score, it's your points for the game. Because that way I know that players need to have a certain amount of gold that they can afford a certain amount of clues for the next level. And this is why this is still there. And what I want to code today is, right now, currently all those levels are generated randomly, and just the number of bombs, the number of treasure is preset, and the number of clues that you have. But the board itself will always have this shape that there is. And I thought it might be interesting if I could author or level design essentially certain boards that have arbitrary shapes that aren't like this beehive structure there, where everything is just on the grid essentially. Maybe just have certain configurations, especially early on, where it's more of a puzzle game, where I want the players, okay, you have now 3 tiles, there are 2 bombs hidden there, now figure out how to do this with just 1 click or so, because I think this might be more interesting. I mean, as a game itself, this could always work here as some sort of endless mode, but I think it would be more fun if I have it a campaign mode and really ease the players into the mechanics. Okay, Sharks Interactive. Wow, I always hate leaving streams, but I'm finding it hard to work because my attention keeps getting stolen by the stream. Oh my god, thank you so much. But yeah, in my humble opinion, it looked quite boring from the start, but after you played it through, it looked a lot more interesting. I'm a sucker for puzzle strategy games as well, though. Thank you so much, Sharks Interactive, for sticking with the stream, and also for your comments. So it's good that you think it's more interesting the more you play it. And again, I'm sorry for stealing your attention, so no hard feelings if you decide to quit or to close the tab that I'm talking from. But yeah, thank you for the input. So apparently it's good that if it's more interesting, and I think if I implement there in the prototype a way of being able to essentially design levels and then save them and recall them, I think that this would benefit in my prototyping. So essentially I want to make some sort of level editor. Would that be correct? So where I can place bombs or treasure and then try out and see, make this as levels of increasing difficulty. Have fun. It's time for me to close the tab that you're talking from. Thank you so much. Bye, Sharks Interactive. Okay, so in my previous game, Finesweeper, which is more rectangle based or square based, the classic tiles, it's like Minesweeper, but with more bells and whistles and items and health and so on. Well, excuse me. And what I had there was that I never had a save system there, and as soon as I launched the game on Steam, people were asking, why can't I save my game? And I envisioned this as a more of an arcade experience, and this is why I had to patch in a save system. Pretty much right after launch. I was super stressed out, but managed to come up with a good solution to how to save a level. And essentially a save file for a level just picks one tile after the other and then just saves its state. So if it was clicked open, if it's still holding a bomb or something, if it's holding an item, and of course your current the level that you're on, your current time, how much time you spend on the level, and pretty much all the stats that the game needs to decide how to score you. But I think I could do essentially the same thing here, that I just serialize all tiles one by one and save its state into a big map. Well, it doesn't have to be that big of a map, or even an array, one after the other, and then reconstruct it from there. And I could do also as a level editor, where I just, I don't know, hit tab or something, and then I'm in the level editing mode where I can just decide what is on a tile. For example, just hit tab and then say, okay, when I hit a B, now there's a bomb, and there's a bomb, and so on and so forth. So I think that this might help in getting this prototype a bit more figured out of where fun things are, of where I want to go with this. It doesn't have to be super pretty since it's a prototype. It's okay even if it's a little bit cumbersome or clunky, just something that I can, like I said, that I can have arbitrary boards without having to code them up or hard code them, essentially just having some sort of data structure where I can just plop it in there. Yeah. And Crazy Cucumber is there, and Commander Stitch, my god, thank you so much for spending your bits on all those nice little things. And Commander Stitch says, just stopping in to say hi, how are you doing before I go back to being at my parents? Oh, thank you so much for dropping by while visiting your parents. Doing great. I have some coffee, and I'm just trying to make a little level design or level designer for this game, and then see how far I can get with this. Okay, so how do I do this? Okay, first thing that I want, of course, is that when I hit, right now the tab button, when I hit the tab button, it shows the neighbors of a tile. This was what I used for debugging purposes when I was doing the algorithm to find the neighbors of a given tile, but I don't need this anymore. So I think it would be cool if I just hit tab and then switch over into the level editing in the map editing mode. And from there, I want that when I click something, I can open tiles, I can place things there, essentially just make even tiles disappear. And then have another command like, I don't know, Control S to save it out to a file as JSON, and then later on be able in the game to read this JSON file. The cool thing about this is, if I keep the JSON structure pretty much unchanged from the prototype to the final game when I'll be doing it in Unity, I could use this prototype as a level design tool, essentially. That's fantastic, Phil. Nice to see you charging your batteries. Yeah, thank you so much. Charging batteries actually is bearing fruit, because the other day, or well, actually this day, tonight, I spent 3 or 4 hours picking up where I left with the edit of the Ludum Dare 46. I think it's 46. Yes, the 46 documentary. So yeah, there's also progress on that front. So yeah. Cool. Okay, so cool. This is the game inside of GameMaker. And first, let's take out this tab command, and where does this happen? So I got a couple of singletons. Just I'm not going to explain them all in detail, just as a general overview. So when you start the game, this control init object gets created. And yeah, it just initializes everything, switches the game into the right state, creates a game control and a board control, and essentially just hands off the control to the game and the board. The game control singleton is in charge of, who would have thought it, in charge of the game, where it manages the player's state, how many HP they have, what the current level is, and so on. And the board, surprise, manages the board state. So I think the game is handling F1 insert description here. What does happen when I hit F1? Okay, so when I hit F1, I can trigger the level complete. I didn't know that I had this implemented. What happens when I hit F1? You can see here that the algorithm that just tells me And for example, if there are some bombs that are placed correctly, they would get the tick mark, and if they are incorrectly, they would get the red X and would cost me points. So, okay, so this was also a debugging command. Why, hello, Ingvar. Well, now I have to leave to catch you later. Thank you still for dropping by, Ingvar. Thank you so much. It's okay. I'm 37 minutes into your video. My God, how long is it going to be? 37 is quite the achievement. So I raise my coffee in your honor. Man, I'm really curious about your video. Right, I think then draw GUI step. Game start once. So everything in my game, the game state is managed as, who would have thought it, as a state machine. So usually with my states, how I run states is that I always have a state, for example, when you start something, or let me show you here the state machine. Something that's called start once, in-game complete once. And you can see this once. And this is usually when I enter a state, a new state, I always want to trigger something the first time you enter a certain state. For example, when you say you enter the win state, if it's just one state, it would be a bit more complicated to tell the program, yeah, please have the winning fanfare play only once and not start it again every frame, essentially. And this is why always when I go to a new state, it will enter the once state, and after this has been run once, hence the name, it will hand over or switch over to the default, not default, the generic state that is possible to loop. Current estimate is 45 to 50 minutes length, but I don't know. Yeah, you never know. For me, with videos, what is a good indication is how long it takes me to read my script out loud. And then plus 10 to 15% to that, because I try to leave more pauses there, just to have them more, just to catch my breath, essentially, and also for the viewers, because sometimes it can be quite exhausting if there's a constant voiceover going and when I don't leave enough space for images to breathe or just certain points in the narrative. So you never know how long a video is going to take, but 45 minutes, that's quite something. And TechBox North is also there. Thank you so much for joining, TechBox North. Right, so I think the board game, the board control, draw set color aqua. There in the board control there is nothing that happens on every step. This is just pretty empty. I think it happens here in the tile when I hit tab, then they're in the draw, because this is the draw event of each tile. So debug tile collisions and display tile IDs. So if do debug is on, then it displays all the numbers as you've seen it of I think of the neighbors. I think this is what do debug does. And yeah, I want to change this do debug, because right now it's triggered from tab. Once I switch over tab, I'm into the editing mode. And I think I need to do this also as a sort of an additional state, because when I'm in game, then all the scorekeeping and so on takes place. But when I'm, let's say, level or editor, edit mode once and edit mode, because when I'm in the edit mode I want that clicks do something differently than when I'm of course in the game mode. Hope you are okay today. Yeah, thank you TechBox North. I'm doing quite well, and since I'm tripping over my own tongue, it can only mean that I'm well filled with coffee. Have a great one. I'm gonna go back to my family. Yeah, always please spend time with your family. I'm still here on the WOD. Good luck, and I wish you absolutely the best and warm edits and game making skills, Hart. Oh, thank you so much, Hart. This is really nice. Cool. Okay, so the edit mode. first thing is what happens when I'm not in the edit mode, when I'm in the game mode. Okay, so the first thing, when I'm first get into the game mode, it makes sure that there is a board control singleton object that is in control of the board. Then switches which level we are in. Right now there is only one testing level. And when we're in game, and here it checks if the player HP reaches a certain amount, or if the treasure count is of a certain amount, well then I can say the level is complete, or the player has lost, and so on and so forth. So let's add a new case right in here and call this case game state edit mode once, and all it does is right now to switch the state to game state edit mode without once, and this is where the edit mode is happening. Game state edit mode, and yes, it just loops there until I switch over to the other thing. So the next thing is, of course, I want to designate a button, a key, to switch to this edit mode, and let's just do this here, and I just call it key edit mode toggle, and let's make this the tab key. Yeah, you can probably see my my use of semicolons, that sometimes they are there, most of the times they are not. It always depends whether I just come from JavaScript or another programming language before, or because the GML, the Game Maker language, does not enforce the use of semicolons, but it essentially just ignores them. But yeah, this is why it's they are all over the place, or not entirely, they are half over the place. So yeah, just want to get this out there. Right, so the tab key, as we've seen before here, I think this is what happens here in the tile object. So of course I have to, excuse me, take out the edit, the tab key, that it does not do something there in the tiles, I would say. Semi-present, you might say, says Cursey Boo. You know what? Good one. Okay, so let me quickly find, where do I have the tab key? Do I have it designated here? No, it's not in the step event. Is it in the draw event? No. Is it in the create event? Where the hell do I specify that I hit? You know what? Let's search. Let's search in all, and there we go. This is what I just did now, and there we go. Debug key is as the tab key. You know what? I want the debug key to have the function key F2. So when I run this game and I hit tab, nothing happens anymore. But when I hold down F2, now it displays what I had before. This is cool. This is what I want. Right, so then of course we have to check whether if we are in game, then check for edit mode. And I want also another variable, because the game control is a global singleton object that's accessible pretty much from everywhere. And I also want that a tile, for example, knows that currently the game is in edit mode, or when I click a tile and it's in game mode, I want the tile to flip over. When I click a tile in edit mode, I want a different behavior. So this is why I want everything to know whether we are in edit mode or not. So rules, level, and debugging. Debug key is F2. Let's say edit mode equals false, and key down F1, game state level complete once. Yes, this is cool. So edit mode, and where did I specify here the key edit mode? You know what? I want to keep these two things together. Edit mode is false, and key edit mode toggle is V key tab. So in game, if key, well, of course I have to check keyboard check. I'm not abstracting this away in some place. I'm really just checking if keyboard check pressed, because otherwise you could be holding it, and this is not fun if you have to hold it to stay in the edit mode. So if I'm checking the edit key mode, if I'm pressing this, then edit mode. Oh, this is the game state edit mode, and yeah, this is a can of worms that I have an enum that's called edit mode, and this variable called edit mode. No, I think it's fine, because here we have it's game state.edit mode, and here it's just edit mode. This is fine. Mark my words. So edit mode is true. I could also toggle the edit mode, but that way I can be sure. Fine, cool. So if you're in the edit mode once, and when we are in the edit mode and we toggle it again, then we say edit mode is false, and we switch the state to game state in-game. I want to make sure that what happens here in-game once, because maybe I need some of this. Okay, so when we're first in-game, then I make sure that the board control exists. So at this point it should exist. Then we switch the level. The clues are the level player clues. Okay, so I might need to do a recount then. And if instance exists board, then let's all get the width and the height of the board. Currently, I got only, at least here for my edit mode, it's not possible to specify the width and the height of the board. So right now I just keep it as it is. But I probably need to do a recount. So let's just do a to-do here. To-do recount clues, treasure, etc. Because when I place somewhere a treasure and so on, then of course I want it to be reflected right away when I start the game again. When I switch over to not the edit mode but to the gameplay mode. And of course I need to somehow let the user know that they are in edit mode right now. So switch GUI position instance, so I probably want to write a text somewhere. If instance exists board, right, so this is the game UI, and here is, let's say, this edit mode UI. So draw set color. What's our edit mode color? Oh, H. Mortensen redeemed unicorn, which is the one thing that is very important is to stay healthy and hydrated. So thank you so much for reminding me to hydrate myself. I drink a lot of water every day, but most of it I just have first run through the coffee maker, just to be sure. Okay, so I want the edit mode color to be, let's just make it white for now, and draw the text, and let's draw it at not guy, it's GUI, but at what position do I want it? GUI left, do I want it at, yeah, you know what, I want it to be centered. Draw text centered, and Y is align top. No, I want it to be left, middle, center. Yeah, I want it to be on the top, A, top. And what do I want to draw? Of course, I want to draw edit mode active. Okay, so let's just quickly test this and see if this actually works. So now it says edit mode active here. This is cool, but maybe I want it, you know what, maybe I want it to have it here on this side then, just to have it decoupled from all the player stats. I think this would make more sense. Okay, first thing is I need to draw set or yes, just want to make sure that I align the text properly. So draw set a vertical align, just need a horizontal align is right, and then just draw it at align right. And of course only do this if edit mode, not game state, edit mode. Yeah, this is better. Of course only then when you are in the edit mode. H. Mortensen says, lol, have no clue what I'm doing, Twitch rewards and so on yet. Yeah, I've set up the unicorn reward, that when you spend some unicorn flakes, some of my channel points on the unicorn reward, it prompts me to have some water. Okay, so this is good. It toggles at least once. Why only once? Probably because I've forgotten something. Because if we're in the edit mode, I forgot, no, edit mode equals false. And when we are here, edit mode equals true. But why? Why does it stay then? Why does it stay here in edit mode? I only have just one line of text and already got something to confound me. So edit mode once game state is edit mode there. Yeah, if it's the key for edit mode toggle, it's the V key tab key. This is good. And you know what? I just make an else statement just to make sure that it's really obvious what's happening. I say now edit mode not active. So edit mode not active, edit mode active, and then it stays active. Why? Why does it stay active? Okay, probably something there with our state machine. So if I'm in game and I check for the edit mode and the edit mode is true, of course then I need to switch to the edit mode. This is what I've forgotten, edit mode once. And now I'm in the edit mode, and when I hit it again, then I'm in the correct state. So yeah, this was the problem. So we're edit mode active now. Cool, this works. So I can get rid of this else thing there. Maybe change your state before toggle edit mode boolean. Change the state first and then switch to edit mode. You mean just switch this around? I think at this point it really doesn't matter. Usually that I know how my code works is that when I'm changing states, that everything is set up and the last thing that I do is change the actual state. So essentially I'm doing to recount the clues and everything, and when I'm done with that, the edit mode is over with. Right, okay, so when we are in the edit mode, I want the tiles to behave differently. And since this is a prototype, I'm not too much worried about performance. So it's pretty cool if every tile looks at the game control, or the current game state 60 times a second. This is cool. So again, I want here in my tile to hold here working variables edit mode is false, so that there's also an edit mode in the tiles present themselves. And with each step, they essentially a tile checks if currently the game is in the edit mode or not. And where should this happen? So this is my initialization with every frame. Yeah, if react to mouse, if type is of clue. Yeah, I think we need to do this here before the color. So color is in it, but edit mode equals global. Yeah, I'm looking at the global variable game edit mode. Since again this is GameMaker language, it's a free-for-all, so with every object I can look into every other object's variables. There's no encapsulation going on, or yeah, I don't think you can make it easy to encapsulate something, and you also don't have functions. Essentially, this is GML. It's super easy for prototyping because, like I said, you can just look or even change an other object's variable. So you have to exercise some restraint to that. So just make sure that this works. So we're in the edit mode, or at least we know whether we are in the edit mode. And if react to mouse, yes, I want all the tiles to be react to the mouse when we are in the edit mode. So this is if mouse jet pressed. Okay, so this is something that should only happen there when we're not in the edit mode, because when you click something, it says to open the tile. But when we're in the edit mode, I don't want to open a tile because we're editing it and not opening it. So this is something that needs gameplay. If we're not in the edit mode, then we do all those gameplay things here. So what happens when I middle click something and so on. So and if position meeting and if place meetings, so we are in here the place meeting, and after the position meeting there I injected the new so end of if edit mode, and then of course I can indent everything there. And we're already having this Lisp like bracket curly girly tree. Okay, so everything that happens here when I click something happens when it's not in the edit mode. So I just want to change this. So else if mouse button check pressed, then we just say color equals let me pick a different color here, color default, color hidden clue, yeah, let's say just color clue, just to see if this works or not. So when I switch the edit mode on and I click something, at least, yeah, I think the problem is that the color gets overridden somewhere in the draw event, so this is why we don't see anything. But as soon as I'm in edit mode, I can't do anything anymore. So this is good. Edit mode behavior. Okay, so what also might be interesting, that once we're in the edit mode, I also want to display where pretty much everything is hidden. So I need to also do this here in the draw event. So debug null tiles. This might be interesting. If it's not open, then sprite is hidden, or then there's some debugging, then highlighting, then we draw the base tile, and then we hover. If a mouse is hovering, then yeah, I think this we can keep. If it's of type resource, maybe I want to change all this type behavior. Also, if it's open, if it's an occupant, then we change it to bomb. If it's a clue, debug tile coordinates, displays tile ID. Yeah, this is debugging. I mean, there's a lot happening here in the draw event, so much so that it doesn't fit on a single page there. So I have to make sure, because the order is quite important here on what's happening. So if debug problem color C-reds, because sometimes when I have this is something that I've started to do, is that I have a variable that's just called debug problem, because it's a debugging command. So if I say, okay, this is a problem, if the special case, then debug problem equals true. In that way I can see instantly when something is marked as red, it's one of my problems that I marked as a problem. So it's just in the draw event, then it's not just a line in a log. Okay, debug null tiles. We don't have debug null tiles. And if line is odd or even, this is also a debug command that I don't need anymore, I think, but let's keep it in there. Since this is a prototype, and like I said, I want to do this later on in Unity. I keep this kind of debugging statement still in there, like I said, in case that I don't have to come up with the algorithm to debug something all over again, so that I just have to port the code. So when it is not open, the sprite is hidden, otherwise it's not hidden. And if we do highlight, then we change the color to color highlight. Okay, so first this needs to happen and then highlight needs to happen. Okay, so but this is also, we draw the base tile and then we draw the border of it. So essentially this is something that happens only during the game mode and not when we're in level editing mode. So this is also now that I can put it in behind an if statement. So if edit mode something else, then if is open, it gets a different color. Because I want it in the edit mode, of course, that you can see what is occluded underneath a given tile. So if is not open, the sprite is hidden, the color is hidden, but the alpha is 0.5. Right, cool. And then we draw the base tile, and you know what? It's much easier if I duplicate the code and then make changes than to realize where to separate which code runs only in edit mode and which code runs only in gameplay code. So this way I can really be sure that I'm running completely, well, not completely, but sufficiently different algorithms depending on which mode we are in. Why will you be bringing this project over to Unity? For one thing is I like that I can do with Unity stuff that I can't do with GameMaker. For one thing is nice 3D stuff, so I want this game to be played on a 2D plane, but maybe have a 3D effect of flipping the tiles over, or yeah, just some camera movements just to make it nice, because I love polishing. And the other thing is portability. With GameMaker, it's not really trivial to have it play on HTML5 or on Mac or on Linux. Everything is a huge pain in the neck, and you also have to pay for the modules, for additional modules to be able to do this. And with Unity, it's pretty much, it's just 1 or 2 clicks and out of the box it works. And again, it's also practicing, because I want to make a good game or a complete game with Unity and not just little prototypes. So this is the reason. Right, we draw the base tile here, and there all we change here is the color, the alpha, when the tile is not open. And what I also want to do, I want to draw occupant. An occupant in this game is it's either a bomb or a treasure that is hidden under a tile, and this is what I termed the occupant. So if we're hovering with a mouse, then it displays just this highlight border, so this can stay for both. But here, if we're in the game, then if it's a resource, we draw something. If it has a flag on top of it, we do something differently. If it's open, then we look at the occupant, or else it's a clue. So I want this to happen already there. So I will just essentially really just duplicate the entire behavior one by one and make changes only where necessary, because that way, like I said, I'm really sure that those two states are decoupled from each other. So my wife is texting me, telling me that my stream is probably going pretty well, and you know what? Thanks to all of you, it is. For the upcoming LD48, will you use GameMaker or Unity, you think? Really, it depends on the theme, I would say. I mean, I would love to go Unity again, but like I said, with Unity, I don't know how long something takes me, and with GameMaker, I feel very proficient. But then again, of course, with Unity, you get some nice affordances, like the canvas system for buttons, where you just have a canvas and a button, and it already behaves like a button. In GameMaker, you have a GUI event, a GUI draw event, which is essentially just a draw event, but with local coordinates, but you have essentially to code up what a button is always from the start. So yeah, it really depends. Maybe I will go Twine again. Who knows? Maybe Quick Basic. Yeah, I've frankly I have no idea. So where have I been? Mouse hover. Did I just cut something? Yeah, this I cut. So if it's of type resource or else, right? So I will just copy this over completely to and say end of if not in edit mode. Yeah, you can see here that I always, especially when if statements grow larger or switch statements, that I always put a little inline comment at the end just to know what a certain bracket refers to. Where do you come from, bracket? Where do you come from? Oh, it's here in this else. So if not edit mode, so it's here. Okay, where do you come from then? My god, already. If it's a clue. Okay, so this is if it's of tile resource, else it's not of tile resource. So end of if tile is not a resource. Okay, good. 6502 assembly says tech. Yeah, right. You know what? I once really thought that I make an NES game or a Commodore game just because I want to get my feet wet with a 6502 assembly. But then I recalled the first time that I did this, and I spent a week, or was it 2 weeks, just to have it on the NES, just a text scroll or an image that cycles with different color palettes. And I got this to work, but it was so much pain. But then again, there are some people who really, I think I've played at least once a jam game that was done in 6502 assembly. It was an NES game, and I played it on the actual NES, and it worked. And it worked, and this is just crazy. It's really amazing to me. So resource. If it's a resource, right. If it's of type resource, else it's of type clue. So again, we need, of course, this. If mouse is hover, if it's a resource, then we draw that it's a resource. I mean, we could do this as a switch statement. Switch type, and then we say case of type resource. Break. I sometimes forget the break command, and not good things happen there. Case tile type. What's a type? Tile type clue, and break, and default. We have a problem. Default. You shouldn't. Yeah, let's just show debug message. And we say, yeah, tile plus ID, or string of the ID has no type. Good. Switch type. Oh yeah, of course I need to to make this a switch statement, a proper one. With a curly girly, there we go. End of switch type. And Remco++ is here. Thank you so much for dropping by, Remco. So if it's not open, if it's a base tile, if it's mouse over, and you know what, I should also do this here. Switch type case tile type resource end of tile type resource break, and again we say case tile type clue, and I can get rid of this, and hopefully this should work now as a switch statement. If tile is not a resource, and I need also here end of switch statement, end of switch on occupant. And my god, I really hope that I didn't just mess something up when you change this big block of if statements there. Yeah, let's collapse all these things here and hope that okay, yeah, of course I need a break statement there. As always, I like to forget it. Remco says they should really have no break, fall through instead, and let the default be to break. Yeah, sometimes it's interesting how different programming languages do switches. Because some require you to have a break or a default, or some... there was something weird with C# when it comes to default, where it says it doesn't need a default. I don't quite remember, but there was something weird. Okay, what the hell is going here? So I'm switching the type, and in the type I'm switching the flag state. Okay, good, just so that I know that it's end of switch flag state. Good, okay, so if open. So this is all if we're in the tile type of resource. And then we are at the end of the resource, and then we break out of it, and then we have a case of type clue, which we also break out of. Okay, good. It's a clue. Good, okay, so I think I got this down. You know what? We can almost test this now, whether it still works. What is this else here? What is this else statement for? So if edit mode, else if not in edit mode. I really need to do this with my inline commands just to retain my sanity. So if we're not open, then we draw the base tile, and if we're mouse overing it, then we draw the border around it. And if it's of tile resource, then we switch over, and if it's of type clue, then we also draw it differently. Just format this nice. We set the font to font debug, we set the color to black, we set the font align to middle and center. So essentially this can happen, since this happens for pretty much everything, this doesn't happen to... Since this happens everywhere, it doesn't need to happen multiple times there. And also here. Good, okay. Right, so this one thing that I need to do now is to display whether it's a bomb or not a bomb. I love saying bomb. Okay, else if not in edit mode. Tile type print value, switch flag state, draw sprite if there is a flag, if to reveal occupants, draw sprite flag correct, flag incorrect. This is at the end of the level. And if is open and the case is occupant, right, this we need also up here. So type, switch type, you know what, probably do this here because we need to switch on the occupant, and we only need to do this in the resource right here. Good, then we switch on the occupant, and then we draw a B. And you know what? Just that we know that this is in edit mode, I encase this in pointy bracket, not in square brackets, and let's hope that the game still runs now with this moving around. You know what? It looks good. It looks good. This still works. I can click things open. Good, it works. So now if I switch over to the edit mode, hold on to your potatoes. Beautiful. Nice. So now we are in the edit mode and I can see what is hidden under certain clues, and I can't click something there accidentally. What I still get is the neighbors, the preview of the neighbors, which is cool. I don't know if I really need this in the edit mode, but it's good. It's good that we have it. So that I also know that something is hidden because it's now in those brackets, but again here it's not in those brackets, so we only want the things that are hidden to be in those brackets perhaps. So let's indent this. So if sprite is open, then we draw it differently, and so that we also need to do this here. So if something is hidden, switch occupant case bomb. Okay, then we do this here. If is hidden, which means it's not opened. I think it's called it's hidden. If not is open, yeah, this makes sense. If not is open, you know what? Let's do this here. So case is bomb. Yeah, let's bring the break back so that I really know where something is ending. So draw text, and I just say var t is b for bomb, and then I just say if not is open, t equals thing here, and then we just draw the text. Good. Or just call it label. This makes more sense. If it's not open, then we draw the label. And the only thing that we change is, you know what, I need the label here before, so just defining it here as a local variable. And the difference is only that the label is B and the color is different. So then I don't need to do this in the switch statement. And I can just say draw text X and Y label with the color that we set. And we just say var color, or just col, not that it's not getting mixed up. So col equals C blue, and just draw this here with color in col. Cool. So color is blue and the label if is B, and if it's not open, or do this, let's do this nicer, if is open. Yeah, we don't need this actually, we don't need this. So this is for the bombs, and for the treasure we just do it in orange and T label T and orange. And let's try this. Techbox North says, I remember playing Minesweeper in early Windows, setting the field to max size and number of mines to minimum so I could win with just one click. Ah, memories. Didn't we all do this? Didn't we all do this where you just have one click, and then it's depending on how fast your PC was, and if you were running this on a 386, then it would take a while for all the field to ripple through. Yeah, good memories. So, beautiful. Draw set color. Not set before reading it. How did this happen? Col is blue, col is orange. Right, I don't have a default case, so the color is C white, and the label, the default label, is just empty. I think this was the problem here. Cheers, by the way. Yeah, now it works. So let's click open here now, those treasures, and they remain open. Cool. So what I want to do when I'm now in the edit mode is maybe to hide stuff or to empty certain occupants of something. For example, now I'm thinking about how to do this the most user-friendly way. I mean, I could say that when I'm hovering over a tile and I hit B, then I place a bomb. But what if it's a bomb already there? Then it's gone. If it's a treasure, it changes over to bomb. I think B and T would make sense there. So you know what? I also write this into the GUI mode so that I is 1 and do this. So it's the top plus. Yeah, this is a weird construct, by the way, if you don't know what this means. Right, so I got this beautiful thing here. This is I draw my text, this is the X variable and this is the Y variable. And you probably ask, what the hell am I doing here? And the thing is that when I want to draw multiple lines of text underneath each other, I don't have to say, you know, let's 32, 48, 56 and so on. So I don't have to manually come up or hard code these values, because I'm using u divided by 2 times plus I. I starts here at 0, so plus I means I pre-increment this and then multiply it with first 1, then the next line 2, 3 and so on. And u divided by 2, what is u, you might ask? And let me zoom out here a bit. I have here u, I just call it unit. And in this case it's 96, so half a unit is 48. So it's 48 times 1, 48 times 2, 48 times 3 and so on. So this is essentially just what it is, because the cool thing about this is that when I have a line here, let's say call this line 1, line 2, line 3, and when I think, yeah, maybe this should go in a different position, I can just copy and paste it and don't have to worry about changing the Y variable there, because it starts there from A top, and A top is the top. From the top, just 1 unit down, because when I change this unit, everything also changes from the alignment, because when I have something that's to the right, I don't want it to be on the extreme right of the screen or the extreme left to the screen. I want to have some sort of margin, and this is why I'm using this here. Yeah, it's just eye candy essentially. So yeah, I want for now to keep one row empty, and then TechBox North or Cursiboo says click to toggle through the options. Yeah, maybe this would work, but then I think maybe if I want to place a number of tiles where there are all bombs, then I just hold down the B button and just draw across. Maybe. So B place or toggle bomb, copy, then T toggle treasure. Let's try this. And edit mode, right, then yeah, this, yeah, I will stay with B and T, since again I just thought where to define which buttons to press. It would be nice to just have it once in some object that it's I can say, yeah, the bomb button will be B, and no matter where in my edit mode I will use this, it always refers back to this. So you know what, maybe let's do this. Let's call it key edit bomb toggle is key B, or yeah, this is what was it? Ordinal of B. I think this is what it was. How to do? Apparently not. It's key code or something. Yeah, let's consult the help file then. Keyboard check pressed key or the B? Was it that? Let's consult the help file. What does it say here? Keyboard input, H speed. There are the certain keys. C key press. Yeah, it's really it's just the ordinal of. Yeah, I had to put it in quotes and not just in single apostrophes. So there we go. So bomb toggle treasure, or just don't call it toggle, just call it as it is, and make this nice here. And the treasure is T, of course. Can you read this? So we got the key for edit bomb, the key for edit treasure, and everything is saved here in the game control singleton object. So of course this needs to exist. Right, so if mouse button, where the hem am I? Oh, I'm in the step event, but I need this in the draw event. So then we just say the label bomb, case B is bomb. Right, and if you are here in the edit mode, then I want to toggle what the occupant is. Are we in the edit mode? If react to mouse. Yeah, this is if we are in the edit mode. Not in the edit mode, then good, then I just copy this. But when we are in the edit mode, if mouse button check pressed, yeah, I will ignore the mouse button now. If keyboard check pressed, and yeah, let's refer to a global object. This is always good. Global game and edit mode bomb. Right, so if occupant, now we just toggle through it. If occupant is of occupant type bomb, then occupant is empty. Occupant type none. Otherwise, oh, we know what, we can even save us this otherwise line. It's super simple. Now of course we can't. If else, occupant type is of occupant type bomb. Simple as that. Just one line per statement. The same thing then for edit key bomb. Is there? Why am I having here an error? Unnecessary expression occupant used as a statement. Oh yeah, this makes sense. Because I need to delete this, right? I didn't mean to paste it. Cool. Okay, so if occupant type equals bomb, then it's none. And if edit type treasure, then the occupant type, if the occupant type is of occupant type treasure, then it's none, otherwise it's of treasure. This makes sense. And the one thing that I just realized is that I also want the keyboard there in the control, in the game control. What's B and T? I just changed this to keyboard bomb key code, so that I can use just B and T, because if I change B and T, then it also changes the key code, and then I can use those as variables and don't have to hard code the values. Of course, I need to change this here. This is the board. I need to change this in the tile. No, it's not just bomb, but it's key code bomb. and treasure key code. And now I can just say here in the draw GUI, just say key edit bomb plus and edit key edit treasure plus. There we go. And this should hopefully work. Okay, moment of truth. T. This works. And B, this works. And when I'm holding it down and just moving across, it doesn't do anything. I mean, it's a bit clunky if I place bombs like this, but it works. It works. I mean, I could also have commands to clear the entire board or place, you know, like Shift B and then it places everything. Okay, and right now I'm not using any sort of clues there, but right now we're not having any bombs. So you know what? Let me try and see what happens here. That whether this apparently, you know what? I just noticed that the clues didn't update now between that I was switching over. This one here still reads 2 bombs, 1 treasure, but 2 bombs are gone. So what I probably need to do is once I exit out of edit mode, that all the tiles, the neighboring, yeah, essentially just all the clues get updated. And this is also not looking not too nicely, but it works. At least it works like it should, so that I can place treasure here. Cool. Okay, so updating the clues. Maybe I even want to update the clues right away. So whenever I'm changing something, that I can also see the clues in the edit mode. Because as it is right now in the edit mode, that the clues are blind essentially. So as soon as I switch over, all the labels are gone, and maybe I don't want that. Let's save this, by the way. I mean, it was saved anyway, but still. Right, in the tile object. The automated unicorn just deleted a random curly bracket, so this makes sense. You know what? Let me feed the automated unicorn because it was just so nice. And cookie. There we go. Because the automated unicorn, for those who don't know, it has a little digestive system, so sometimes it might poop a rainbow if you feed it enough cookies. Right, where was I? In the step event. So here we are if we are in the edit mode. Not in the edit mode. So if I click something left, then we say do open. If I click something right, transform tile to clue. If I click it to right and the game clues and it's not open, then and the occupants are gone, then it's of type clue. Then the get neighbors. Okay, so this is important. So I get the neighbors of any given ID and then iterate over it and set what's happening, update, iterate over neighbors. And okay, cool. So essentially I can take just this one here when I want to transform something to a clue. For right now, I would say I also use it when I want in the edit mode to change something to a clue. I also want to keep it to use the middle mouse button. So first we say mouse commands and then transform tile to clue. So when I have something that's a clue, when I click with a middle mouse button, it doesn't really, I don't need to have enough clues because we're not playing the game. This is good. So I can take out this one. So this curly bracket as well. It's always problematic deleting if statements because there might be a curly bracket you forget. But now this barely fits into the screen. Okay, so if it's of occupant bomb, then we diminish the board bomb count. If it's of type treasure, we diminish the board treasure count. So maybe since I'm doing a recount anyway, I can just comment this out. So if it's of tile type clue, the occupant type, so I'm switching the type to clue, the occupant to none, get all the neighbors and iterate over the neighbors, what the neighbors are. And then I change the clues and do init equals true. So I'm initializing the tile itself again. So this might work, but I also need, of course, to iterate over the neighbors when I transform something there. So if I changed something from, so I just make a new local variable and I call this variable and say occupant changed equals false. And if I clicked something here, then I say occupant changed to true, and the same thing here. Is the spelling correct? Yes, occupant changed equals true. Well, it's not equals, it's an assignment, but yeah, you know what I mean. So, and then if occupant changed, then we say, yeah, please get the neighbors of the current tile. I've written this beautiful little get neighbors script, and among all the neighbors, if among the neighbors. So if neighbor is none and the neighbor is of tile type clue, we update the clue. Yes, no. Yes, you know what? Let's try this. I'm not quite sure whether this works or not. But okay, so the intended behavior should be that when I'm changing here the occupants, for example, taking out the treasure or a bomb, it should also update the clue here. So let's have a look at this. We got here 2 bombs, and I want to take out this bomb and this bomb, but now it should read no bombs. It should be empty. Okay, treasure, 1 treasure, treasure. Okay, so this works, that I can update it. What does not work currently is that it displays what is currently on there. But yeah, this is just something that should happen here in the draw event. So this is flag state none, sprite locked. If it's of type resource, we need to do it if it's of type clue, and the bomb count is less than 0 and the treasure count is less than 0. And if we want to debug the neighbor IDs, then here it happens in do debug. You know what? I can use this entire tile type clue thing here, because no matter whether we are in the game mode or in the edit mode, the display on the clues should always remain the same. So tile type resource, for the resources it's different. But yeah, I just take this out here and say clue display. So, and say if type is tile type clue. And then I can, yeah, I don't need the break command. This is good. There is still this debug thing in here. This is nice to have. Don't really need it, but yeah, this works. Cool. Okay, so let me run this and see if this really works. So the intended behavior is that now we have here on those clues still the numbers. When I toggle over, when I switch over to the edit mode, it should stay the same. Yes, it does, and it should update when I add. Yes, this works. Beautiful. So now I can edit the contents of this here. You know what? I just realized it might be even nicer if when I left click something, I make it a bomb, and if I right click something, I make it a treasure. instead of using the keyboard. What do you think? Would this be more interesting? And when I middle click something, I can place clues. And you know what? I should also be able to middle click something again and then unclue it. So this is something that should happen here in the step event. So if mouse button is middle and if is not open, you know what? We don't need this, that if it's not open, we need to do init, so we switch the occupant. And if it's of type bomb, if it's of type treasure, and if it's of type case, no, that's not the occupant. If it's already a clue, then we switch it back to not being a clue. So if type equals tile type clue, then we say the type is of tile type resource or none. What do I use when I'm using empty tiles? I'm not quite sure. Else, and let's do this here. Okay, so what I want to do now is that I'm able to middle click to place a clue and also middle click to unplace said clue. Cheers. Middle click placing a clue and taking it away. And now it becomes, since it's none, it's now white. And when I click something that's white, it really is like an opened clue. Cool. Remco says, since there are a limited number of things that can happen, trying to put the whole control scheme on the mouse makes sense, I think. Thank you, Remco. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe I will introduce, probably not, a third resource. But now we have essentially bombs, treasure, there we go, bombs, treasure, and clues. By the way, this is how I... this is super funny because it's different how people count with their hands. I've learned it 1, 2, 3. This is how I count. Other people start 1, 2, 3, or even from the pinky 1, 2, 3. Or Persians, I think, count like this: 1, 2, 3. Super funny, super interesting. The cultural differences in how you count with your hands. Right. So I need to say occupant type. Maybe resource. Maybe let me say the occupant type is resource. Am I here? Where am I? Check commands. Transform tile to clue. Yeah, right. So tile type none or null. Okay, so I got generic clue, and I say is open. False. Let's try this. What happened? Oh, I launched it in the debug mode, which is super nice because now we got a profiler and 2000 FPS. This is quite nice, actually. Yeah, never mind. So I switch over, middle click, and it does not work. But as you can see, it just flicks a little bit. So I think I double toggle something there. So check button released. Tile type. Oh, I've made it a clue again. So this was the problem. Resource. I think that was the problem. Okay, so editing mode, middle click, middle click. Cool, okay, so this works. Then I just take out that this is a clue, make everything treasures, and also maybe set the occupant to none. Occupant is occupant type none. Not one, it's none. And make this look nice because I like it when my my assignments are all lined up, because it makes it much easier to read, or much faster to read. Right, so I said left mouse button to make something a bomb or treasure, right mouse button to make something a bomb or treasure, middle mouse button to place to make something a clue or not. But now I'm just thinking how to completely make tiles vanish, essentially. And I think I will try this with the left mouse button. So if type, or yeah, if type is equal to tile type null, because I have null tiles are tiles that are essentially completely empty, that aren't that don't get drawn, that don't get respected when I'm updating neighbors. Essentially, they're just not there anymore. The only place that they are still exist is as a reference in the array that holds the entire board. So this is how I could make holes in it. Remco++ says, finally someone understands. I always get comments like, why are there spurious spaces in your code when I try to line up things like that? Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Like this here. You can instantly see, okay, so those all belong together and they do pretty much the same thing, or something that's close to the same thing. So yeah, because even with syntax highlighting and so on, yeah, it's much nicer if everything just falls nicely. Even in my game jam code, I like to do this. I mean, yeah, of course, it costs you 1 byte per space, or maybe 2 bytes when you're in, I don't know, Unicode or something. But who cares? At this point, it's all about legibility, and in the end, yeah. So if tile type is null, then we change the type to resource. And else type is null. Okay, let's really try this out. Tile type null. And why do we have here an error? Unnecessary expression type used as a oh, of course, yeah, I don't use assignments. Now it should work. Okay, cool. Let's try this, whether I'm able to completely hide tiles. Yeah, so it works that I can make holes, essentially, and when I click something again, it reappears. This is nice. Didn't expect it to work that nicely. The only thing that I want, of course, is here with empty tiles. When I'm hovering over with my mouse, I don't even get this border, this indication that I'm hovering over something, because there is nothing there. And when I click, I just realized that I could click something and still get... Yeah, this is not good. This is not good. I also need to make sure that you can't click empty tiles, even if it has an occupant. So, cool. Kinda. Let's fix this. So, the one thing is that I don't want players to be able is, of course, to click on something that is not there and get a reward out of it. So if mouse button pressed, do open. And first thing is that if react to mouse and tile type is not null. And tile type is not null. Well, tile type null, because I don't get a null type in GameMaker. Okay, so now this should work, because it doesn't even react to mouse. Tile type not set before. Oh yeah, yeah, tile or type. And you know what? Let's encapsulate this in brackets. Good. Okay, so there are treasure underneath, so I take it out, and now I can't click it anymore, because I've said you can only react to the mouse when there is something. But now I can't click it because it's not reacting to the mouse anymore, so maybe this was not too good. So of course I want to react it to the mouse, but if mouse button is pressed, then do open. So I just make sure that in this do open thing here, if is open, if allowed opening is not locked and the type is not null. Now this should work. Right, and here as for the draw thingy, in the edit mode. If is not in the edit mode, right, but here we are in the edit mode. So if not is open, so where do I draw the hover thingy? I think I did this down here. If tile type equals clue, then the bomb type. Do debug? No, this is somewhere else. This must be somewhere else. Why do I have here 2 breaks? Give me a break, just one is enough. This is never used apparently, so can take out this. Good, good, right. So if mouse is hover, if mouse is mouse hover, and I think the problem is with the tiles that I say are null tiles, that they don't exist, they don't get this mouse hover thing going. So let's step back to the step event then. If is tile type clue and if is mouse hover. So where does this is mouse hover? So if position meeting, if mouse hover equals false. Mouse hover is true, so no matter what tile type it is, there is still a mouse hover happening. Right, this is good. If mouse button pressed, then we're doing the flagging. So clue is hovered. So if is mouse hover, this must happen here. If mouse is hover. So if tile type is null, then we don't draw it and we exit right away. And this is not what I want. This needs to happen at least after the mouse was hovered. Right, but of course this also needs to happen here right away. When we're not in the edit mode, I don't want to draw null tiles at all. Exit, by the way, here means to exit out of this event. So it just bails from here and doesn't run any of the other code there. But here maybe I want this. Maybe I want this. So because I'm already drawing here the base sprite. Let's make this better. If type is not tile type null, then we draw the sprite. And if mouse is hover, then we draw the border regardless whether it's a null sprite or not. And we can also do this in, duplicate this here. So if tile type is null, base sprite if tile type is null. I mean, at this point this code should not run anyway when the tile type is null, but yeah, still I want to keep it looking the same as the other one. So if it's not there, then in this case, if we're in the edit mode, play polar play mode. So just to catch the eye, play mode. Did I just delete this? This was not good. And here, edit mode. Cool. Aid mode. Okay, now let's try this again. Intended behavior is that when I hover over tiles that are null, I still get this white border. So let me switch over here, take some sprites out, and yes, I still get this white border here. Also should get here the white border on those tiles down here, because there are tiles that I intentionally hid to make this entire field look nice, but apparently, yeah. Okay, so the cool thing about this is now I can very simply make new levels. I mean, most of what is in the array now is referencing empty tiles. So the array size remains the same, which is okay. I mean, we're not running out of bytes. So now the problem is, as soon as I exit out of the edit mode, I need to do a recount of the hidden treasures, the hidden bombs, how many clues you have, because right now the game says, yeah, you still need 32 treasures to finish this level, but there are no any treasures left because all the tiles are hidden now. So let's do this. So control board. You know what? Maybe I make this here into a script. Here are my helper scripts, and this is to get a tile's neighbors. And this is a lot. This was pain and sweat to come up of how to get a tile's neighbors reliably in a hex grid. And update the clue. This is also something that is not as problematic. And I will add now here a new function and call this function board recount. And probably need a board control. So right, where does this happen? Board. So level bombs, level treasures, and level clues. Those are, the board gets this from the level. So essentially the level, the game control. The game, to reiterate here, the game is responsible for telling the board how it should set up itself. So when we start here, it switches what level we are in. Currently I have, yeah, this is all commented out. And currently the board width, the board height, and so on gets set here. The number of bombs, number of treasure, and so on. So we need to do a recount. Or what happens when I step on a bomb or uncover a treasure? Let's have a look in the tile. So if we're in the edit mode, well, if we're in the play mode. So display. No, if not is open. So if we do clue display, oh, we're in the draw event. This explains it. So, right. If it's of tile type resource, if do open. So once we say we want to open something, then the global game score, the global HP, and the bomb count is minus. Right, okay, so the recount should not happen at the board level, because the board doesn't care how many things that are still hidden. The board only cares about where are all the tile objects or the references to the instances. So legacy here. Treasure gets counted when level is complete. So apparently when we say switch occupant, when we do open the game score, yeah, essentially we should tell, okay, so there's a bomb, the bomb count is still in the board, and also the treasure count is still in the board. Okay, so let me wrap my head around my poor code here. Okay, so the game tells the board how many bombs and treasures are there when a level gets created. Then, when I open a tile and retrieve a treasure or step on a bomb, it tells the board control now to get rid of one bomb, or decrement the bomb count by 1, or decrement the treasure count by 1. So this is something that should happen in the board. So once we, now we're in the game, once we step out of the edit mode, so edit mode once, and game state edit mode, and we step out of the edit mode, when we toggle it, then here, right, we have to recount clues, treasures, and so on. So this should happen with the board objects. So let's do this. I close now all other objects and just make up, open up here my helpers function, and I call it board recount. Board recount, and the board control is global board. Right. Cool. Okay, so here the board control. I mean, this is passed. I hope it's passed by reference. Board control. Let's just call it board. Board. Okay, so the board itself should iterate over pretty much all the tiles and count up what is there. So I probably have this somewhere here in the board control anyway, where I'm just iterating over all the tiles. Okay, so here in the create event, it should happen quite often. So distribute bombs and treasure. So while count is less than the Baylor. Yeah, I always have a Baylor when I'm using. Okay, so this is short intermission in terms of programming when using while counts. You can see here with while counts, those are problematic because you can easily lock yourself into an infinite number of loops where essentially your program just hangs. It's the same with do or do while or just while. So what I always have is a Baylor variable. In this case, I just say while count, while my condition that I intended for is something, but then and I decrement the Baylor that it should be still greater than 0, which means once this while loop has run 1,000 times, it bails automatically. It maybe should have thrown error or something, or should drop you a debug message, but at least this construct here with a while loop with Baylor and minus Baylor is still greater than 0, you're always sure that it runs 1,000 times at max. And because you can't always be sure that a while loop is never going to an infinite loop, sometimes weird bugs happen and it might happen. This is why I started introducing this Baylor variable. I call it Baylor. So while count is greater than... Yeah, you should always be sure, says Frank. Yeah, exactly. You should be sure. But so find neighbors of tiles. So we're just going through the entire array and pick a tile. So this is what is happening here. So with the board array, the tile that we want is right. And now we can just switch on the tile and change the count. So let's call var count bombs, var count treasure, var count clues. Why am I starting distributing semicolons now? I don't know, but I just did. So right. Switch tile. Well, let's switch tile type. So if the tile type case tile type is of type clue, then count clues plus plus. And of course we break here. If it's of case tile resource, tile type resource, then it's, yeah, we need a colon there, and also break. If it's of tile type resource, then we also want to switch on tile occupant type, or the occupant. So if it's of occupant type bomb, who would have thought? Count bombs plus plus and break. And if it's of type treasure, then the treasure. Did I just write trouser? Treasure. Count treasure plus plus. And that should be it. Now we only need to tell the board control to please update all your values that you have with count bombs, count treasures, and count clues. And how do I do this? I mean, I know how to do this, just need to make sure that I'm calling the right variables there, because I also have a count clues. This is the number of clues you have as a player to still distribute, so I need to find out what the variables are actually called. Bomb count, treasure count, this makes sense. So I'm just going to copy this over. So end of for each tile. So the board bomb count is count bombs. Where am I? Did I just... There we go. Okay, count bombs. Board treasure count equals count treasure. And now the clues. Now as for the clues. This is the game. There is the board. Level clues. So this is the amount of clues that I give the players per level, I think. But now let's see where this is. Occupied is the level clues. Count, level clues, treasure count. Yeah, there it says again, bomb count is level bombs, treasure count is level treasure. I mean, what's being displayed anyway? What's being displayed? Clue tiles 5. So it doesn't really matter how many. Yeah, I couldn't count treasure plus unknown variable not set. Beautiful. So the clue tiles, actually the number of clues that are open is of not much importance to the board apparently. So maybe I want to add this control board. So level clues and clues count equals 0 holds the number of currently opened clues. Of course I need to do this then. Clues count, and down here we say bomb count, treasure count equals level clues. No, this is not the level clues. What's the difference between clues count and... Okay, I need to check the game control again. So, when a new level starts, level board width, level board bombs, level board clues. This is board clues and player clues. So where does this get referenced? Level board clues. So only once in this file, so it must happen in the board, in the create. So let's... Okay, the level clues are the clues in this level. Okay, so this makes sense. Level clues. Count is level clues, and down here it says clues count is level clues. Right. And of course, before doing this, I also have to make sure that, I mean, this does not get displayed, but still I want to keep track of it so that I know that once I want to display it, that it's everything is behaving correctly, because I don't have this here. So if react to mouse, transform tile to clue, transform tile to clue. If not is open and it's not a bomb, type is clue, get neighbors, and of course we want to tell the global game clues -- and global board. What did I call it? board clues count, I think. Clues count clues. Or I could just trigger an entire recount. Board clues, level board clues. No, what did I call this level? Clues count. This was, where is my clues minus and clues count plus. Okay, good. VRG Lab says, hello, just finished my stream, decided to tune in. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm still streaming. I think probably for half an hour still or so. So yeah, what have you missed? Now I have a level editor mode. So when you hit tab, you're in the level editor mode, and once you hit back, then you have this problem here, line 229. Funny, this is exactly the line I was in before. 200 and probably should have noted in what object it was. In the script. Where is the script? Helper script, there it is. Clues count. And almost coconut. Count. So now this should work properly. Cursible level editor, yes, it almost works. So it does not. Count treasure plus. Why not set before reading it? It's still line 229. 229 is here. Count treasure. Yeah, maybe I should start at 0. I think this should help, and not at undefined. Yeah, I think this should help. So yeah, with the tab key you can now switch between level editor mode or not. Yeah, pro programmer, absolutely. So the thing is, when you're in the editor mode now, you can click something and essentially take out the entire tiles. So this should make it possible to make nicer looking fields. And the other thing is, when I place, why don't this clue not update? Now they update. Okay, good. Because this is the other thing, it should also update the number of clues. And what we can see here, what does not work right now is when I take out some clues or bombs, they don't get updated here. Oh, they do. This is apparently now this works. You know what? Let's try this again. That I only have, let's say, just a couple of tiles. Yes. Wonderful. Maybe just click and hold would also be nice, where I can just draw over everything. So we got 2 treasure hidden, and once I uncover everything, the level should be finished. But the game control. Oh, game over, it says. Oh, yes. Because there was this little delay in there. Everything works fine. I was just a little bit... my hair, oh god. was just a little bit thrown off now because I didn't get this game over or level complete message. But what I forgot is I still have this algorithm that goes over all the tiles when you finish a level like this, and this is why it took so long, because it also went over the null tiles. So I probably want not to go over the null tiles again. So where is F2? Debug key, right. And where do I use the debug key? If is debug. Right, debug key. But do I finish the level? Wait. Yeah, mouse hold would be nice, yeah. For mouse hold, I need to make sure that my mouse... This is not that easy, actually. Because when I'm holding the mouse, and it would toggle on a per frame basis, so I always need to make sure that each tile knows that the mouse is still inside and still holding, and only when it moves into with the mouse holding that it would react only once to it. So So maybe I need to add this to the mouse then? Not quite sure. Yeah, let's keep it off for now. Because right, when I finish the level and I say do open to auto update clues, because when I finish the level, I think this happens there in the game control. Just remember the last held tile. Yeah, but I don't have a mouse object per se. All the tile knows is whether the mouse is over it or not. But maybe I just create here a new flag and say mouse present or mouse hover on prev frame or prev step is false. And when I say mouse is hovering, and it was hovering the last frame before, then it's still hovering, right? Why no mouse object? Why? Because this is a prototype and I don't need a mouse object right now. So resource is hovered false, clue is hovered false, is mouse hover false. If react to mouse is mouse hover true. And afterwards we say mouse hover on previous step equals is mouse hover. Right, so this is essentially my mouse down. So if mouse button down, mouse button well pressed, check mouse button pressed, button pressed left, right, what? What am I doing? If hover mouse on is mouse hover. So this was it before. So if mouse hover on previous step is false and mouse hover is now once, then we can do it, right? Right. If react to mouse, place meeting mouse, if mouse hover position meeting is true. If not, we're not in the edit mode. Okay, but if we are in the edit mode, there we go. There we go. I need some more coffee. I'm getting a bit hungry, so more coffee. If mouse button pressed. The thing is with mouse button pressed and mouse button down, let me quickly check the reference, because something only fires once. And mouse input, there we go. Mouse button, mouse check button. So it will return true if the mouse button is being held. If mouse button and mouse hover is not, is mouse hover. Dude, it's 6 p.m. You drink coffee at 6 p.m. You can't sleep at night. Yeah, I go to sleep at 6 a.m. So I think I should be fine. But thank you for your concern. So to me, this is still early in the afternoon, or in the even before noon. Essentially, it's noon. You know what? I've realized that I'm living in Pacific time, Pacific Standard Time, mentally, but physically I'm living in Central European time. So, okay, so now let's try this. I'm holding and it works. It works, but then of course it toggles it back when I hover over something that was hidden before. So could be worse, but also. And when I click just once without dragging, it doesn't do it. So it kind of works. It kind of works. So I just, you know what, I will duplicate this line here and for now leave it out and maybe come back to it when I have a mouse object itself. Because you might be onto something, VRGLab. You might be onto something. Right. Okay, what was the other thing? Right, I wanted, once the game ends, that it only iterates over the tiles that are actually there and not all the tiles. So game state level complete once. Game state level complete. Level finish timer init, tile counter init, level finish timer. What is this? Checking tiles for flags and awarding score. Why is this commented out? Because it looks like there is a lot going on. So if level complete and level and index. Okay, so everything is happening here. So if tile type is not tile type null and tile is not open. Else, if tile type is null, if treasure, because I wanted just to, so that you know what I'm currently worrying about. So once you finish a level, I will simulate a finished level now, and I hit F2 and you will see, there we go, that the points get awarded across. And then it tells me whether whether I finished the level or not. But now when I'm here in the editing mode and, oh look at this, it kinda works now not. because object tile, and it's not check button, but check button released or pressed. This was a problem. So and it also, I think, spends a bit of time on all the things that don't exist anymore. Because essentially now it should be super fast. But there will probably be, it will probably spend some time also taking its time there for the invisible clues there, invisible tiles. Let me see. Yes. And I don't want this. I only want it for all the visible, and I have to find out where this happens. So this is not in the tile object, but in the game object. Once the game is finished, or the level is complete, then we get all the board tiles from the array of board tiles. If tile counter is less than 1, so if level array index, okay, tile, if, okay, so if the tile type is not of tile type null and the tile is not open, but otherwise, if the occupant is not bomb, you know what, I need to take this out. If the tile type, is not null, but if the tile type is of tile type null, then we just need to skip ahead or something. So if level index treasure plus score, instance create depth, score value, score unopened, the board tiles array, level and index. Okay, so there it's happening. So okay, so if tile is board tile, if level, then we just advance level and index plus, index plus plus, and I think this should just skip the frame, the tile in question. So let me just try this out here. You know what? Maybe I should have this mouse hold thing back in there. Okay, let's try this. Yes, I think this works now beautifully. Okay, let me really try it again with the mouse hold. There's a sort of clunky mouse hold, but nevertheless. So Right, okay, so this is the current behavior. It goes through all the tiles and then. Good, okay, so, but now I switch over to edit mode and just paint out those that I don't want. Yeah, it's cool if we just keep some left. And now let's hit F1. Yes, I think, did it just skip one? Anyway, you know what? I'm quite happy with how that turned out. Very happy. What I now need, I think this should be the next step, would be to serialize this out in some sort. Maybe there's a JSON file that I can then use also, as I said before, in in Unity when this game is beyond prototype stage, that I can use it in Unity and use GameMaker, this version there, essentially as my level editor. Oh, and Frank says I have to go now. No worries. Have a great evening then, and see you probably next Sunday or whenever you have the time. Have a great week, man. Thank you. Right, where was I? I wanted to check something. Oh yeah, right. To serialize this as a JSON file. And the other thing that I want to make sure is that I can expand this easily. This is not a problem with JSON. I'm not quite sure how much Unity enjoys to work with JSON. Is it better to work with XML files or JSON files in Unity? Does anyone have an opinion on this? Because I don't know right now, and I thought before Googling I could ask you, dear viewers, if you have any input on this. Right, but okay, so as a bare bones level editor, this kind of works. And I'm quite happy with this. JSON is good. JSON, okay, thank you so much. Then JSON it shall be. We're chasing the JSON. JSON is better, cool. Yeah, with XMLs, to me XMLs were the super hot shit like 20 years ago, but I think JSON has more or less become the standard. And also the entire thing with Finesweeper, for example, all the localization, all the text strings get handled with JSON. It's quite something to parse, not compared to GTA 5 the online mode startup times, where it's doing a string length comparison or something for 2 minutes on one core. But yeah, I think JSON should be fine. So essentially it's just serializing this out and then having a way of reading it back in. Tudvari says handles XML as well, but personally JSON is much better. Yeah, I agree. What I really like about JSON is that it uses less bytes when you store it, because you don't have to have these closing tags for one thing. And the other thing is, that it's easier to read, I feel. VRGLab says XML is better for localization, JSON is better for serialization. Well then, with that being said, JSON it is. So I will create a new script set and call this script serialization. There we go. Why is XML better for localization, says Tutvari? Yeah, good question. And this is the script for helpers, and uses a script for serialization. And I call this a board to JSON. And it wants a board, of course. And essentially I'm doing pretty much the same thing as I had here. I'm just iterating through all the tiles and then just storing what the tile is. And I can also make a new data structure, essentially, because I think there was something in regards to data structures and JSON serialization, JSON, and I think it was, I call this var board map is data structure type. I think it was a map that I need. DS map create, I think. DS map create. So I create a new map. I use CSV, by the way, says Tutvari official. Yeah, personally, with Finesweeper everything is handled as JSON, and it's not that much text. But yeah, I'm curious about XML. Why is it better for localization? Okay, so I create a new DS map. A DS map is a data structure map in GameMaker, and quickly let me bring this over so that we can all read along. Come on, I want to pull the tab off. Pull the tab off. Pull the strings. Pull the strings. Yeah, I'm not working with strings. Well, maybe I do. VRG Lab says I also use CSV, but the general opinion I have is that XML can handle localization data as good as CSV. With the CSV personally, what I don't like about CSV is that when you start adding new fields, maybe to the beginning or somewhere in the middle, and everything just gets shifted, it's to me it feels that you need a bit more code to handle this kind of special things, and JSON and XML are easier to expand because you only look for a certain key or a certain tag instead of just counting the number of commas, for example. Right, DS maps, because Node can use an expression called an accessor, right? But DS map write, because you could write it, I think, to a JSON file. Can be written to an ini or a write. But how did I, or was it a map? DS map secure. Let me just Google JSON. One of the use of DS maps is when working with JSON, so there are a few special functions that are specific to that. DS map add list, DS map add map, replace list, and replace map. So we want a map, a DS map. What do I have? A map. Beautiful. Right. The chat says VGLab, it can also handle simple data better. The CSV, yes. Tutvari says I store the CSV in a basic C# directory, so no worries. And downloaded a CSV parser, so I had to write 100 lines. Okay, 100 lines is okay. That is not a bad idea. It might not be efficient, but it works, and that's what matters. In the end, I mean, if you, as for myself, is when I'm thinking in terms of optimization, is how often does this run? How much time will it save a player? If it's at the start of a level and you're doing things a bit more inefficient, but it's super easy for you to implement and maintain, but it takes like 3 seconds longer when a level starts for 30 seconds. Yeah, those 3 seconds, I mean, this is negligible. If it's just once a level and the player has to load a new level like every 5 minutes, it's okay. If it's something that happens with every frame, like 60 times per frame, you might want to optimize something because it might be problematic. So this is how I do things. For internalization, we use .po files, says Remco++. At work and translation bureaus accept these, or their derivatives at least. It seems to be a standard that it can be applied to Unity, and using PO files is the first time that I heard of PO files. It's probably overkill for a prototype. Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing the translations in the prototype. I just need a nice JS map, I think, and I can work with that. What are the benefits of using PO files other than being standard? I think when it's standard and people can work with standards, I mean, for Finesweeper, let me show you this. This might be interesting. For my game Finesweeper, I sent essentially all my translators the JSON files. And I even made a little manual that they know how to work with those JSON files, and I want to show you this my translation manual. But the cool thing about translators working with a JSON file is that they could just try their translation out in the game, but they just had to name it a specific way, drop it in a specific directory, and the game would realize, okay, this is currently translation files that are currently being worked on, and it would display this translation. I didn't have any cheats where you could just go through all the text in the game, but I think it was at least a bit more friendly to the translator, but not as friendly, of course, as working with an Excel sheet. Right, I just want to show you my translation Bible, because at this point I think it's safe to show. No, this was 2018. I think it was in 2015, 2016. Let me show. Game Maker Finesweeper. Where is it? It's not there. It's in the wrong file. 2015 then. Game Maker mouse gadget. No. I think I've lost. No, this can't be Game Maker Finesweeper. There we go. Let me quickly find it. Concepts, management, publishing, translation, promo, localization, and the localization guide. There we go. It's got a lot of pictures, by the way. So where it is. There we go. The old Pixel Prophecy logo. Yeah, and there it says, yeah, please, essentially, you didn't sign an NDA, but please keep it to yourself. Then, yeah, about the guideline works, so how to translate the store page. And yeah, essentially this is, yeah, how the JSON file works. And yeah, just so that they know what they need to replace, only this, not this part. Please don't translate the keys. Essentially, please leave those blank, and please leave something that is not between quotes, just as it is. Yeah, and then the terminology of what the things are called in my game and what they are, so that they know what is a flag, what is a clue, what is a question mark flag, and so on, so that they don't have to start the game to know what is what. And yeah, and then pretty much essentially, yeah, what is shown on the title screen, where things show up, where the stuff in the menu, where it shows up, and so on. Then of course certain things that are special, tool tips. Then tutorial screens, again with the images so that they know what the tutorial is, notifications and so on, text, and then of course stuff like achievements. For example, here I have a Mr. Burns, so that because where it says here the game praise number 5 when the game says you did a fine job, and it says excellent. I have here the following is a Simpsons reference to Mr. Burns, because maybe this is different in other languages, and if it's just excellent, it might not carry across. And this is also something that I did. Let me skip ahead. Why can't I skip ahead? There we go. Yeah, for all the achievements, I just said what was the reference to it, so maybe that translators could come up with their own funny thing, because I said, yeah, it's encouraged. If you have some puns and plays on words are encouraged, they just must not clash with the illustration. So I told them where I got the illustration from, what the idea was, and yeah, how to change this. Essentially, what was the idea behind. Yeah, and this was my localization guide, so you can see a lot of work went into this one, but I got pretty good feedback regarding this, so yeah. Okay, finally time to catch up with the chat. I'm sorry. Good ideas as tutorial. To let translators try the translations themselves. Next time I will should implement the localization. That way Remco says, well, that, and also you can just type something like I18 hi translator, this is a button, program English goes there, instead of just the string. Then you can run something over the source code to get that into one of those files. Yeah, okay, this makes sense. And VRG Lab says, this is smart. Well, I don't know what, but thank you. I take the credit for it. So right, in terms of serialization, I can create a DS map, and this is essentially, yeah, a representation of a JSON string in GameMaker, because to a map I can also add a submap or a sublist, and a submap is again just a map where you have key value pairs. If you add a DS list, it's just an array, and so on and so forth. So what I need now is, you know what, let's sorry, wrong zoom button. Let me try and outline this how I want it to be. Right, so essentially what I want it to look like, let's make this a bit bigger, like so. What I wanted JSON to look like is, let's call this level name, and it should be just level something. Then of course maybe I want to have the board width and board height. This is what I also want to store with the level data. I mean, right now those are just random numbers, just to know that what I want with the scheme or the schema to have. But then I want tiles, and the tiles themselves are they are an array essentially. Are they an array? Does this make sense? They are an array of maps. Okay, and the maps for the tiles should be, for each tile, I want that we save, just to be sure, the ID of the tile. It could be also, maybe it's a string or something, or just a number. Then I want to save the tile X position in the grid. Then the tile Y position in the grid, because let's have a look at the object tile, what it has, because it has a sprite which gets, this is not important to be saved, but what it is important is that a flag state, that the flag state gets saved. So type occupant, if it has one. Flag state, if it is flagged. Occupant, tile ID, board, tile X, owner board. I don't need the owning board because the owning board will create this. And the neighbors. I think I also don't need to store the neighbors. They also can be sorry, I was just somewhere. The neighbors also can be calculated at runtime or when I read it. The digital Shay says, which game is this? And yeah, this is my current prototype. I wonder if it runs now of my Minesweeper-esque game. And what I did today, I just created this little level editor where I can add tiles or change tiles and so on and so forth. And now what I'm in the process now is that I'm able to serialize this out into some sort of JSON, and then be able to load, so that I can save certain boards, or can handcraft some of them, and then essentially just try to work out a campaign or a puzzle mode for this. But it's 7:05 in the evening, so I've been streaming for 3 hours now. I don't know how much longer, because my wife is at work, and when she's done I'm going to go pick her up, and this is how long I will still spend on this. And I hope I'm not somewhere in the middle where I'm operating, doing open heart surgery on the code, because here, okay, so this essentially this runs. But right, okay, let's get back. I don't need this. Let's get back to, here we are. Okay, what I need to save on a per tile basis. And you know what? Because I'm not stupid, not this time, we'll just use the same variable names also for the key names, because this makes things much easier. So essentially I will need the flag state, the occupant, the tile ID, where it is in the board, an X and Y. And that's pretty much it, I would assume. Right, so essentially we have here the board. The level name right now is not that important, but you know what, let's have a look at the board itself. when I created what else would be nice to save. So board tiles width and height. Board tiles width and height. Oh yeah, this was of course the board name. Because maybe I want to use the name for something or have some sort of annotations. Yeah, the bombs, treasures and clues, those I can work out from the save data. The tile count, the clue count, yes, the number of tiles, the board width in pixels and height. Yeah, I think I can all work this out from what I need. What I can also do, I mean, this saves not the game itself, where how many lives you still have, how much treasure you still have acquired, how much time you spend on the game. This is not like this is really just the game board. So for this I need the level name, the number, the width and the height of the board, and again the array of tiles, and each tile itself is a map. And I think this makes sense. Looking at emails. Oh, I sold something on Redbubble. This is wonderful. Cool. Okay, so let's make this smaller. This is the scheme, the schema. I don't know what's it called, but this is what I will try to recreate here. So I create here a board map, and this is essentially this board map. So I say ds map add, and this is the board map, and I add the key will be board tiles. W, and the value will be what I find here in board tiles width. Cool. Board tiles height, same thing. Then of course, what did I say? Level name, level name. Just call this test for now. Right, and now as for the array of tiles, for that I need a list. So I call this var tiles list, and this is also a new ds map list create. Right, and now I go through all the tiles in the board and essentially just create a new map for each tile and add this map to this list of maps, and then at the end I add this list of maps to the map of the board and then serialize it out and see if this actually works. Right, now, okay, so I got a tile, and then I say ds or var tm for tile map is ds map create, and now I say ds map add, and I will add this to this tile map. And yeah, just say flag state. And okay, now this is interesting because now I need to come up with something of how to serialize the flag state. It would be cool if I could use just an integer, because this is all enumerated, but the big problem with this enumeration is that once I change the enumeration in the code somewhere down the line, all the levels will break. So I need to probably use a string or something. Of course, strings always take longer. I also have to make sure that the strings stay the same, but yeah, I think this is the best way to do this, and this is, I will create an enum and call this serials or serialization or save, yes, serial enums. No, this is bad. No, this is good. No, this is bad. Sorry, I'm just going back and forth. You know, I define this as constants. I don't know. Can I do const? No, I can't do constants in GameMaker. So I just define this here as, I call this ser for serialization, and I call this flag state, because what do I have here in the flag state? Flag state, I have none, locked, and flagged, and last. So none, flagged, and last. Flag state none. Let's do this. None, flagged, and last, so that I can compare it to those values. And I will just use this also as the string. So then of course we need var fs for flag state is ds or tile flag state. So and then of course we need to translate this. So we switch on the flag state, switch fs, or you know what, I don't need this fs. So we switch to tiles flag state. Oh yeah, we call this fs key, no fs value, yeah, just fs, an empty string. So I switch on the flag state, and if the flag state is case flag state none, then fs is flag state none, because this will be the value. Break. So then I just go flagged and last, flagged and last. Of course I need sir in front, otherwise it won't work. Cool, beautiful. So yeah, this serialization thing is going to be a bit tedious, but there we go. Flag state. Did I use last? I don't think that I ever use last. Cool. So and then I just add whatever I have here in the flag state as fs, and there we go. So this was the flag state. Cool. So next up I'm doing the occupant. And of course we have different occupants. So just flag occupant none, bomb or treasure, bomb, treasure. You know what, I just realized what might be interesting with my treasure. Currently the treasure is just a random number that you get. So depending on your luck or not, or essentially, well, it depends on the seed of the random number generator is how much you get per treasure. But it's not being saved with the tile, it's just random. Maybe I want to add this as well, but for now I just keep it as it is. So my wife is telling me that in 20 minutes she needs to be done. So I think, you know what, I will just quickly test this out without the bomb state and so on, so that we just have the flag state, and then hope that it still works. And I will just copy this to the clipboard and see yeah, how this pans out. So I added here the flag state. So this is essentially my map. For this tile is just the flag state for now. Yeah, I just comment also out this one just to be sure. Flag state none. Apparently I need to do this inside the function, of course, otherwise it won't work. Yeah, this makes of course sense. Cool. Right, so flag state, so it's either flagged or none. So probably need to do something with that's flagged or none. So VRGLab says, all right, see you later. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping by, and really appreciate it that after your stream you still found the time to drop by with mine. Cool. Okay, so map, we create a new map, and what we need to do is when we're done we need to add this to the list, right? ds map add list. Now we need this first to ds list add map. Insert ds list add. Yeah, okay. We add this to the tiles list, and it's tm. And once we're done with the for loop, we add the list to the board map, right? ds map add list tiles list. Good. Okay, so this essentially should, yeah, just do this flagged state and add it to the list. And now I want to serialize this out to a JSON and then just copy to the clipboard so that we can see whether this actually works or not. So ds list add. So ds list secure safe JSON. One of the maps that when working with JSON is, yeah, how can I save this? Right, perhaps right. Will be written into an ini or text file for easy storage. Can be read. Not quite sure if this is the JSON thing. Set, read, write, destroy. Secure save, secure load. This is it that it does. It's being encoded, which we don't need. I really just want to. What is ds map set? Sets the value. Oh, of course, yeah, this makes sense. So it's probably just ds write, read, no. Size, add, clear exists, create, replace. Right. Okay, so ID. And returns a string. Okay, so this returns a string. So let's try this. Var debug str is ds map right. Of course, yeah, we need to add this ds list to the board map. And the key, of course, what did we arrive on was tiles, right? Tiles. There we go. Okay, cool. So let's give this a whirl. And then I just say copy to clipboard. How did this work? Clipboard set text. Right. Clipboard set text. Debug string. And the only thing that I need now is write map. Of course, we want to write the board map. I need to call this. And board to JSON. This is where. When do I call this? When we are in the editing mode, of course. Win once, win fail. Level complete. Level complete once, edit mode. So if keyboard check pressed, I just use the S key, S key. Then I just save this out. So what was it called? I called it script serialization. This was bad when you make typos in your script names. Board to JSON. This is what I called it. So where was I before? There we go. board to JSON and global board. Key. Why do I have here a warning? So, oh, I'm missing. Yeah, I'm missing this one. Missing. Opapi says not much right now to the automated unicorn. So yeah, not much is up with you. I'm really sorry because the stream is about to end. I just try to squeeze in this serialization to JSON, and I really hope that this works. So because what I want now is to get a list. Let me switch over. So where everything that I've flagged should be on a list in JSON. Dan wasn't here for quite some time, rarely got time for Twitch. Yeah, I'm really sorry that you've found quite a bad time. But I'm looking to stream on Wednesday, depending on your time. Central European time, it's already Thursday, 1 AM. Maybe you can find the time to drop by. But again, it's very much appreciated that you could. Okay, so let's quickly try this. I hit S now, and it didn't crash, so this is good. And we should here, when I paste this, I got nothing. S and paste. No, it should do something. Board to JSON, global board. Here we are in board to JSON. Where no, there it is. Global serialization, board to JSON. Oh, thank you so much for the unicorn. Cheers. Already done with my coffee. Perfect timing. Right. Show message. I just want to make sure that, oh, the good old printf message. So now I'm just, when this function is being run, I get a pop-up with an exclamation mark just to be sure that it actually does what it should. Of course it didn't do it because I wasn't in the editing mode. It only works in the editing mode. So when I head over to the editing mode, then hit S, now it's working, which means it's not working. Board to JSON not set before reading it. Crap. 151, line 151. And Opapi says, selbst wenn es nicht viel ist, schau schon seit Jahren deine LD-Videos und so, zumindest ein bisschen Support. Thank you for the content. Yeah, you're very welcome. For those who aren't proficient in German, Opapi says, even if it's not much, I watch your videos, your LD videos for years, and so it's just a little bit of support. And you know what, it's again, like I said, to me it's a lot of support when people still watch my old videos. And there will be a new one. Just did some editing last night and hope I can continue this night. Okay, so script serialization does not work. Function, let's call this just script serialization, but no, this is stupid. Why make my code this horrible? Okay, focus. Find all. Where do I call this thing here? Global board, right. Board to JSON. Board recount works, but why does this help us thing here work and the other one not? Board serialization. Board. And by the way, I'm really not understanding the problem here, because it says not set before reading it. Board to JSON. Board to JSON. Line 151. And this is here. No, it's not here. Where is it? Unknown object.board to JSON, not set before reading it. You know what? Maybe I stick this from this file to the helpers file, because this helpers file works at least. So let's hope let's hope that this was the problem. Okay, just make some flags. hit S. I hit S and nothing happened. Not quite sure if this is good or bad. Let's try this here. Just posting some flags. S, nothing happened. And no, not safe. Paste. Look at this. Apparently we got something. It's not in a legible form, but still it looks like it got saved. It saved out something. So this is good. This means that the code, the underlying code, worked of this here. Of course, it would be nice to have it in a legible format and not just as numbers. The function into a string format which can be written to an ini or text file. Yeah, but this is, I thought you would write this to a JSON file, dear game. I really thought so. For further functions, saving and loading a DS map will obfuscate the DS map. Right, list add, replace, map is list, is map, replace list. While these functions permit you, they are useless for anything other than JSON, and nested maps and lists will not be read correctly if written to disk or accessed in any other way. Yeah, but how can I will just Google JSON. Oh, JSON encode and JSON decode and JSON parse. Ah, this makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. So JSON encode turns probably a DS map. This function, but still has been superseded by the JSON stringify, and we recommend using that stringify. Right, so JSON stringify returns a string. So let's just quickly try this. Clipboard set text. JSON stringify this one, and then I really need to catch up my wife. Not legible, no, not sparkle, says the unicorn. Okay, I mean, unless if you're a robot. Okay, so I will post some flags here, switch over, hit S, no error message whatsoever, hit paste, and this is the JSified message. It just put it in quotes. Just put it in quotes. Yeah, I probably have to dig a little deeper to realize what is going on here with having JSON stringify or something, because this was not what I intended. DSMap Oracle is available through DSMap list function, so you are enabled to encode sublists and map. Do I need it to have it decode first? JSON encode. I think probably I have to have JSON encode first. But no, this is stringify. I should use stringify. You can convert a single or nested struct and arrays into a valid use. Structs and arrays. This function will not convert DS maps or any other data structure. Okay, so I need to use JSON encode. Okay, so that was the problem. JSON encode. Or was it encode? No, decode. No, encode. Okay, last thing, then I really need to get going and fetch my wife. Okay, just some flags, S, and I got an error message. Beautiful, unable to convert to integer from provided string. Why do you think this is a string? Never mind, I'm done. At least I got something to work with now. So let me switch back there. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining my 3 hours and 20 minutes of this session, just chatting and keeping with my little hex game. I don't know when I will continue, probably next Sunday with it. Maybe I will fix some of the bugs, and sorry for this rushed ending, but yeah, I really appreciate you dropping by, really appreciate you chatting and helping me out, and yeah, just being overall awesome people. So I hope you have a great week. Again, I will try to make a chill gaming stream somewhere midweek or so, but the next weekend will be probably more programming. All right, with this being said, hope you have a great week and see you then. Cheers.